Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. So today's webinar is about project management professional certification, and it's more like about why we should get certified, or what is project management, or what is the certification all about, or who's the organization behind this certification. So these kind of things we will be discussing in this webinar. And just one thing, that any questions that you have, any one of you, please hold them for the presentation to finish. At the end of the presentation, we would have a small question and answer session as well. So it would be around 20 minutes that we would devote to question and answers. So we'll get on with the presentation first, and then at the end, we'll take up all the questions one by one. So let's get started. So this webinar talks about PMP certification, a great enabler. So the agenda would be, first we will have a quick discussion on what is project management. Then we'll move on to some challenges of any project or most of the projects that we come across. Then we'll talk about the certification of PMP itself. So we'll have a quick introduction on PMP certification. Then we'll spend a minute or so on talking about Cognitel as WizIQ. So what is project management? Let's start with a short video. I hope you should be able to see the video. I've just started playing it,
The management of ongoing
you should be
tasks
able to
requires
see
a
that.
different approach to the management of one-off tasks. Project management is about getting these temporary endeavours complete on time and on budget. The sad truth is that for one reason or another, most projects fail to meet their objectives. So here's some weapons you can add to your arsenal to make sure your project has the best chance of success. Firstly, make sure all stakeholders agree in granular detail on the final outcome of the project. By agreeing about deliverables at the outset of a project, you'll guard against the scope growing monstrously out of control. Planning is 80% of project management. Remember the 6 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor project performance. There's a lot of great tools that can help you keep track of your project. Use these during your planning. Before building your team, consider the skills and know-how you'll need to complete the project. Then compare that list with the people you have. Add and subtract people as necessary. Make sure you consider how information will flow where it is needed and that all stakeholders know what's happening. Prepare for stormy seas by considering what risks your project might be exposed to and plan how to best navigate to avoid or mitigate them. If you've planned properly, implementation of your project should be like conducting an orchestra, keeping the various players in check with clear, constant communication and leadership. After completing the project, report on what was done well and what could have been done better. This way your team will be better positioned to tackle their next project. Remember, anyone can complete a project by throwing more time and money at it. The real challenge is to achieve a quality outcome using the least time and money. To summarize, to make sure your project is completed on time, on budget, meeting its scope, and in a quality manner, remember that planning is paramount. Fiercely guard against scope creep by getting solid agreement on the required deliverables. Make sure you know about and use available project management tools. Think about the skills your project needs before building your team. Think hard about what risks your project could face. Communicate like an orchestral conductor during implementation. And don't forget, review, reflect, and report on your project's successes and shortcomings so your team learns from the experience.
So guys, were you able to see the video, everyone? Right. So probably you would have been able to relate that most of you, if you're working in the field of project management, that this is commonly certain problems that most of our projects face, like scope creep or over budget, or lagging in terms of schedule, or the end result not able to deliver the value that it was supposed to initially. So these are different problems, different challenges that we all generally face in terms of project management. So basically, the project management would help you to make sure that you encounter least of these challenges, or you are able to make sure that you steer clear of these challenges whenever you are managing any of your projects. Moving on, the first question that we need to ask ourselves is, how do we measure a project success? I think if you would have noticed that there was one line in the video which said that anyone can complete a project by throwing more money and more time onto it. But what matters is that were you able to finish the project, and were you able to deliver the product of the project in the defined timelines, in the defined budget, within the defined scope, meeting the quality and certain requirements of the customer. So this is how you actually measure the projects or the product success. So if we have a look, as it says, that quality is the first and foremost thing that you would look forward to when measuring the project's success. After quality, you have timeliness, which is being able to complete the project within the given timelines. So, for example, if there is a some sort of auto expo, or there is a mobile congress that is lined up for the first week of February, and you have to develop a mobile which you need to showcase in that mobile congress. Now, if you are not able to deliver the project before the first week of the February, then that project is of no use. Although you were able to deliver the product maybe in the third week of the February, but that doesn't matter now, because the main objective of the project was to showcase the output in the mobile congress, which is long gone now. So timeliness is also one of the very important criteria that you need to ensure you meet in order to call your project as a successful project. Now, after timeliness, the next thing is cost, budget. So again, like we just saw in the video, that we can throw more money in any project and get it completed, but what matters is that were you able to finish the project within the given budget or not. So again, completing a project within the budget is a paramount. Number one, because when the project is commissioned in the starting, there are certain, you can say, decisions that are made in terms of return on investment that you are going to get from that project. Now, this return on investment depends upon your estimate of how much you would spend on making this product or service. So if you end up spending more than that, then maybe your return on investment won't be there, or it won't be as much as it was supposed to be. So again, you were able to complete the project, you delivered the output, but that would not be of any use for the organization, because it won't be able to provide the return on investment that was required by the management. So once again, budget compliance has to be very important. Then last but not the least, degree of customer satisfaction. So if you have been able to deliver a product in in respect to quality, timeliness and cost, but the customer doesn't like it, or it doesn't serve the value to the customer, then again it's of no use. Probably best example could be certain mobile phones that are there in the market from Nokia. So probably you would know that 5 or 7 years ago, Nokia was the biggest mobile manufacturer and the biggest market holder of the mobile industry. But nowadays they are producing mobiles which are good on quality, which are probably good in terms of cost as well, but no one uses them, or we don't like them. So ultimately all those projects would be deemed as unsuccessful because they are not able to satisfy the customer, or the customer is not getting the value out of that product. So being in the product being on quality, timeliness and cost is all a waste if the last point, that is degree of customer satisfaction, is not there. So these are some of the criteria that we generally use to measure a project's success. Now, moving on, let's have a quick look on some global facts that you would be amazed to see. About 30% of the projects are failed projects on account of either cost or schedule overrun. So almost 30%, this actual figure is somewhere around 31 or 32%, but yes, on an average we can say about 30% of the projects are failed. Now when I say failed, I mean that the projects have been stopped in the way. So they were not completed and they were stopped before their completion because either there were too many cost overruns or there were too much of delays in the project. So the organizations had to stop those projects even before they were completed. So that is what we mean by fail. Less than 20% of the projects are considered as successful. So when I say successful, I'm trying to say that projects were finished within the defined scope, time, cost, quality, and were able to deliver the value to the customer. So you can see that the percentage is less than 20% of the global projects. And the rest of the 50% projects are termed as challenged projects. Now, challenged means that the projects were able to complete, but either they were delayed or they were over budgeted or there was some scope creep or they were not um, delivering the 100% value to the customer. So there was something or the other that was missing or that was not as per the defined criteria. So more than 50% of projects are like this, where you have all these problems running into. So probably you would understand that why we are looking at these facts, because the number of projects that are failed or challenged are almost 80% of the projects. So this is the reason that why project management is in so much of demand, because most of the organizations would not like their projects to fail or get challenged. So they want people with skills of project management to conduct their projects and contribute to higher number of successful projects for the organization. So that's why project management is so important. Now, let's look at some of the challenges of a given project. So just now you looked at some measurement criteria that are required to judge whether a project is a success or failure. Now we are looking at certain reasons for a project failure. Now these two things are different. The reason for project failure would not be delay in time or cost overruns. Rather, these are the factors or these are the criteria that tells you whether a project has been a successful project or a failed project. But why would you end up seeing time delays, or why would you end up seeing cost overruns or quality mismatch or less customer satisfaction? Why? So for that, the top three contributors of the project failure or the top three answers to that why are bad communication. So number one is bad communication. Then you have lack of planning in terms of schedule, resources, and activities. And then you have lack of quality control. Now, probably you would know this fact that 95% of the time a project manager spends communicating whenever he's working on a project. And any communication gap between the customer or the supplier, or between the team members, or between any stakeholder can result into a delay in terms of time, or can result into cost overruns, or can result into certain quality parameters being missed. So that can all lead to a project failure. And indeed, bad communication is one of the top contributors, and I should say it's the one that has caused maximum number of projects to fail. Then the second point talks about lack of planning in terms of schedule, resources, and activities. Now, again, you would understand that projects are first planned and then executed as per that plan. So if your planning or if your estimation is incorrect, then definitely your execution would also be incorrect. Or I can say, while planning, you gave certain estimates to your management in terms of time, cost, or quality, and while executing, because your planning was incorrect, you were not able to meet those targets. So if you are not able to meet the targets of time, cost, and quality, definitely your project will be termed as failure. And the last, lack of quality control. So again, many organizations, they deliver projects, but they are failed because of the fact that there is a problem in terms of quality control, or the product of the project was not able to meet certain quality standards. Hence, it was not accepted by the customer, and the organization had to rework on it, or they had to call it as a failed project and stop working on that. So these three are the top contributors in terms of project failure. And moving forward in the webinar, you would also see a study which talks about all these different reasons for a project failure, and they list down probably around 15 or 20 odd reasons for project failure. Moving on, you can see that's what I was just talking about, the Chaos report on project failure. Basically, Chaos was a study that was conducted, and there was a sample projects that were taken up to come up with this report. This is just one, you can say, one result of that report. There are quite a few other things that were discovered or that were actually taken up during this report. So in this chart, you can see the different number of reasons that contribute to the failure of given project. Starting from the bottom, probably you would be able to see it says bad communication between relevant parties have caused as many as 57% of the projects to fail. Then the second one was lack of planning, which has led to 39% of project failures. Then no quality control to 35% of the project. So you can see that these are the top three as we just discussed, and they are contributing so much in terms of project failures. And then there are other reasons as well, like milestones are not being met, or over budget, or poor project management, or indeed poor management. So these are the different criteria that can lead to a project failure. Moving on, let's talk about project management professional as a certification. So why PMP certification? So PMP certification is widely recognized and valued project management credential. Probably I'm looking at different participants in the webinar, and I'm sure that you all are from different parts of the world. And in any country, in any part you go, you would see, or you would feel for yourself that people are aware of PMP, or the organizations are aware of the PMP certification. So it's a very widely accepted and recognized certification. So that's why you should choose PMP. It helps you to bring at par with the global standards of the project management. So the contents, the framework, the best practices that are described in the PMP certification are as per the global standards, because this certification itself is an ISO certification, means it has got the approval from the ISO community as well. So the certification in itself has been approved for ISO. So it brings you at par with the global standards. It helps in increasing the customer as well as the employer confidence. So if you are PMP certified, definitely the customer would also like to have a project manager managing his project who is certified on PMP. And in terms of employer also, they will always prefer a project manager along with the experience who has got the PMP certification. And this certification is valued and accepted in different industry verticals like and different organizations like Sun Microsystems or AMAX or HSBC, Samsung, SAP, Cisco, Intel, IBM, Motorola, HP, NASA, and many other organizations. So these are some of the biggest names that I've just taken, but you all would know that most of your organizations also would like you to get PMP certified and then probably manage some of their projects. And many of you would be looking forward to get PMP certification to get moving in your career or to step up another ladder in your career. So that's why PMP is so important, or that's why you should choose PMP certification if you are from the project management field, or if you are looking forward to step into project management field. Moving on, the PMP certification is actually offered by the Project Management Institute or PMI. So PMI is the organization who develops the exam, who develops this framework and who has given the PMP certification. So they are the proprietor of this certification. Currently, there are about 585,000 active PMP certified individuals. And believe me, this number is not even 5% of the total number of people in the whole world who consider themselves as project manager. So there is still a lot of scope. There are still a lot of people who are eager to get PMP, and although this number might look big, but it's nothing and compared to the total number of people who consider themselves as project managers. When you talk about PMP certification, once you clear this exam, once you get the hold of this credential, it's valid for 3 years, and after the 3 years, you have to get it renewed by showing that you have been doing continual development in terms of education, in terms of project management, and there is a complete different procedure for keeping this certification after 3 years by renewing it. So that's a whole different topic, but yes, you can get it renewed after 3 years by fulfilling certain criteria that are set by PMI. And PMBOK, which is basically Project Management Body of Knowledge, and currently the fifth edition of PMBOK is the latest edition, which is considered as the textbook for PMP certification. So all the concepts, all the best practices, all the different tools that you should use during project management are listed in the PMBOK, which definitely you should go through very well before you sit for this exam. Moving on, a quick intro of PMI. So PMI is a not-for-profit professional organization for the project management profession with the purpose of advancing project management. This organization was founded in 1969 and is headquartered in USA, and it advocates the best practices in project, program, and portfolio management. So PMI not only talks about the project but also about the program management, as well as the portfolio management. And PMI not only provides PMP as its credential, but there are other credentials like CAPM or PGMP. CAPM is for the Certified Associate in Project Management. PGMP is for the Program Managers. ACP, PMI ACP is the Agile certification, and PMI RMP is a Risk Management certification. And there are quite a few other certifications that are provided by PMI, which you can check on their website. Now, a quick overview of PMBOK Guide 5th edition. So Project Management Body of Knowledge 5th edition is a guide consisting of the sum of knowledge within the profession of project management. So like we were just discussing on the last to last slide, that PMBOK is the guide, is the book that is considered to be the textbook of the project management for PMP. So it definitely holds all the knowledge, all the information related to the best practices in terms of project management. It includes widely applied practices and innovations which are applicable for most of the projects. So probably if any one of you has hold of a PMBOK, maybe 4th edition or 5th edition or even 3rd edition or any edition, you would see that there isn't one author who has written this book. There is a group of people, group of authors who are coming from different industries, different kind of verticals, and together they have brought in all the best practices from their respective industries, and these best practices can be applied on any kind of industry. So it's not a industry specific project management. So it's not just for IT or just for construction, but it can be applied on any kind of project. If you look at the PMBOK, you would find that it's divided into 4 sections. So the first section talks about the introduction, then the next one talks about organizational influence and the project life cycle. Then it moves on to tell you different process groups that are there, and then the different knowledge areas. So most of the PMBOK or most of the knowledge or best practices are captured in the last group, which is project management knowledge area. So almost 70% of the PMBOK is there in the last group itself. Moving on, in order to be able to fourth section, sorry, Virish, yes, as in the project management knowledge areas, is that what you're asking? See, project management knowledge areas talk about the different areas in terms of like scope, time, cost, HR, risk, communication, stakeholders, procurement. So these are the different knowledge areas. These are the different areas in which a project manager needs to think. So whenever a project manager is working on a project, he needs to think in all these 9 different knowledge areas that are there and integrate all of it from with the help of the 10th knowledge area, which is called as integration management. So basically there are 10 knowledge areas, and each knowledge area talks about a different vertical in terms of project management. So namely there are 9 knowledge areas which I can count to: scope management, time management, cost management, risk management, quality management, procurement management, human resource management, communications management, and stakeholder management. And all the information that comes from these 9 knowledge areas is integrated together, which is done under integration management, which is the 10th knowledge area. Yes, Renika, actually, as per 4th edition, there were 9 knowledge areas, but with the introduction of 10th with the introduction of the 5th edition, there are now 10 knowledge areas. Project life cycle talks about the life cycle of a project from start to end. So under this, you would find different phases or different type of phases or different projects where you can have multiple phases running together or a single phase running at a time. So depending upon type of your project, you might choose a different life cycle. So that's what is defined under that life cycle area. Let's move on, guys. Next is eligibility criteria. So in order to sit for the PMP exam, you need to be at least be a secondary degree holder, which is a high school diploma or associate's degree or a global equivalent. Then along with that, you need to have 7,500 hours of project management experience in leading or directing projects, not working as a team member. Plus, you need to have 35 hours of project management education. Now, the second scenario is that if you are a bachelor's degree holder or a 4-year degree holder or a global equivalent, then the only change would be that instead of 7,500 hours of experience, you only need to show 4,500 hours of experience in terms of project management. Rest remains the same, which is you still need to have 35 hours of project management education. So without this 35 hours of project management education, you'll not be able to sit the exam. And each PTU or each project management education or contact hour represents 1 hour of training taken in the domain of project management, which WizIQ and Cognitel together provides you as a virtual classroom. Moving on, the exam itself is a 200 multiple choice question, out of which only 175 are scored. Pratik, 3-year education, if that's a graduation you are talking about, then you only need to show 4,500 hour of experience, which is the second one. The exam, which is PMP exam, is of 4 hours in duration. There is no negative marking, which means even if you answer one of the questions incorrectly, they're not going to give you negative marks for that. Of course, you're not going to get anything for it, but then it will not be a negative mark as well. And it's conducted both in offline as well as online mode. So nowadays, most of us, we would be going for the online mode, but if at all there is some reason or maybe you cannot stress yourself for 4 hours in front of a computer screen, then you might go for the offline mode as well, where they'll provide you a hard copy of the paper and you would submit the answer sheet in form of hard copy itself. Now, Gopal, see, the bottom line is that if you are a graduate, then you can go for the second criteria. If you are not a graduate or if you are less than graduate, like a diploma holder, then it has to be the first criteria where you have to show 7,500 hours of experience. And PMI would not disclose that how much marks you have scored out of 175. Rather, they will rate you as proficient, above proficient, or below proficient on the 10 knowledge areas that we just talked about. Kiran, that would be as a lead, not as a team member. Chinmaya, 175 are scored means that you have to you'll get 200 questions to be answered, but out of those 200 you will be marked only on 175, and 25 questions are there for statistical purpose. So you would not know that which are those 25 questions, but just for your information, you would be marked on 175 and not on all 200 questions. It should be at least over 3 years time period. Means you should not be showing it within the 2 years. It has to be spread over 3 years, the experience. Moving on, a quick brief of about Cognitel, which is a training provider. So Cognitel is offering training services, and they are registered with PMI, which gives them the Registered Education Provider um, title. And if you go on the PMI's website and you um, look for the REP, then you would see that PMI also recommends that you should take the training from a registered education provider or an REP. So next is definitely the Cognitel has got experienced faculty. They have got over 10 PMP credential holders for training and content development, and their team is derived from industry-leading equipment manufacturers and operators. They have provided over 7,500 hours of business and technology consulting and over 30,000 hours of training to fresh engineers, and they have trained more than 7,000 employees of leading industries. They have the capability in terms of infrastructure, in terms of content. So they have got approved content from PMI for delivering the project management classes. They have got both virtual as well as classroom training available, and they also have got a good question bank of more than 1,000 questions that you can practice for your PMP exam. Like I was just saying, they have got different delivery models as per your convenience. You can go for a classroom or a virtual training. Talking about WizIQ, now WizIQ is an online education provider. They've got over 3 million learners and they've got more than 250,000 instructors. WizIQ Learning Marketplace comprises of 700 plus online live and video courses in different domains like technology, languages, test preparations, lifestyle, and management like project management and different other even soft skill management or other different type of courses. Right, let's take the questions. Um, Videsh, as far as the project management is concerned, if I start explaining it in depth right now, probably will need next 35 hours to complete that because that's how the project management is scheduled or it's written. So it's very difficult for me to go on into the in-depth of project management at this point of time. So other than that, if you have any questions like related to exam or how to book the exam or anything like that, then definitely I'll be more than happy to take that up. Um, yes, definitely we do offer, okay, you want an offline classroom course in Mumbai. Um, I'm not sure that if we are offering any course as of now in Mumbai, but definitely yes, you can go for the online course, which is I'll tell you this about this online course. It's a weekend class, so it's only a 4-hour session on Saturdays and Sundays, so that you don't have to take out complete 8 hours from your weekend, and it runs on um, every weekend for 4 weekends, actually 5 weekends rather I should say, and it's a 4-hour class and it's very well paced so that you are able to soak in the topics easily and understand them and get prepared for examination as well as applying the project management in your real life. For the fees money, I think you would have to check with the WizIQ and the Cognitel team. So they have their helpline number or they have their email that has been provided to you. So you can write it to them and they'll be able to tell you about the fees as well. Right, so Mr. Sanjeev, he's from WizIQ and he can provide you, so you have got the link over here. So you can check on this link. It will give you all the details about the course of project management. Definitely, yes. You would be getting 36 PDUs because there are 9 classes, 9 sessions of 4 hours each. So you would be getting 4 hours of contact hours from each of the session, which gives you 36 contact hours, which would be enough for you to sit the exam. Any other question, guys? I see lots of people are writing. Yeah. Um, Kiran, no, you don't have to get 175 correct out of 200. It is like out of 200 questions, there are 175 questions on which you would be scored. And they are not at random. Basically, there are 25 questions which are predefined but are not disclosed to you. And they are there in those 200 questions and you'll not be marked right or wrong on those questions. It is just for their statistical purpose, whether to include that question in the future exams or not. Raju, how would they evaluate my resume? Actually, Raju, there is a link on the PMI's website where they provide you with the predefined form which you need to fill before you get to sit for the exam. So it's sort of an application that you have to fill in, and then once you fill that application, they'll evaluate that application, and based on that, they will either approve your application or they will ask for certain documents to support your claim what you have made in that application. Jayashree, 3 years of project management experience is good enough, but what we need to check is that over those 3 years, have you been able to get hand-on more than 4,500 hours of project management experience or not? So on an average, you have to count that if you're working 8 hours a day and 20 days a month, then within those 3 years, what was the total count of hours that you have spent on working or leading and directing the project? Srinivas, I'll definitely get back to that slide at the end. Manigandan, actually, that's very difficult to say that what will be the trend attended versus PMP certified via WizIQ, because it's impossible for us to keep a track of candidates after we have trained them. But because I'm also one of the instructors with the WizIQ and Cognitel, so I can tell you that most of the people who sit for the exam, they do clear it, and the pass rate is over 85% as far as I have it on top of my mind right now. But giving you a complete statistical data on that would be really difficult. Raju, like I explained you, yes, okay. Is the Viresh, it's not about that. The agenda of this was to give you a quick insight of project management, which I did in the starting of the webinar, and to answer any of your questions related to project management. So any doubts that you have or any issues that you have, that would be answered here. Um, Mohammed, you have the link where you can check for the exam fee. Once again, I'll copy and paste that. There's the link. So you can check on this link that what is the exam fee and all the other things. No, Kiran, there isn't any self-learning that you can do. You have to attend those 35 hours of um, either classroom session or online session. Basically, any sort of education you have to attend before you can sit for the exam. And they definitely ask you for the certificate. So Mohammed, that's how we also provide the 35 PDUs. We give you a certificate that says that you have completed this and this training with us and you have been awarded so and so contact hours which you can utilize for sitting in the exam. So there is a certificate that you get, and based on that you can show that you have the 35 PDUs. Srinivas, the exams are organized in a Prometric center, and not all the Prometric or exam centers are authorized to take this exam. Most of you will find them on the Prometric website, that which centers are authorized. Namely in India, I can tell you, you have one in Delhi, then one in, not in Delhi, but in Gurgaon, then one in Chennai, sorry, not Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai, and Chandigarh. That's what I remember, but rest you can definitely check on um, website, PMI's website. Only one center in Bangalore, Gopal. Um, Manikandan, definitely I'll talk about Prince 2 and PMP. See, Prince 2 is coming from UK and PMP is coming from US. Now, Prince 2 is not as recognized as PMP, that's number one. And second, that both of these are project management methodologies. PMP is more of how and Prince 2 is more of what. So basically PMP talks about how to do something and Prince 2 focuses on what should be done. How you do it, that is not what Prince 2 tells you. And in Indian market or in most of the other global markets as well, I can say that um, PMP is the preferred uh, credential, but even if you are Prince 2 practitioner, they'll consider you as good as PMP. But of course, like I said, like in certain markets like US markets or in German markets, you would not see Prince 2 to be a very favorable credential, or it's not as good as PMP. And as far as CAPM is concerned, CAPM is the entry-level certification in project management from PMI. So if someone doesn't have the required number of years of experience, or he has just make up his mind to enter into the um, what you call project management, then he can start with CAPM. Jayashree, no, not initially. Once when you fill in the application of your PMP, they would not ask you for any letter or anything like that. But yes, if your application gets audited, which is almost around 20 to 30% of the applications get audited, then you would require a letter to be signed by the manager or from the HR. Definitely anyone can do PMP, even a BPO employee can do PMP. What matters is that whether you are engaged in project management or not, because I know about BPO industry and they are definitely engaged into projects. There are different projects, different changes that are applied day in, day out. So definitely yes, it would help them. The PTUs are valid for I think 3 years, that within the 3 years you should take the exam after attaining those PTUs, otherwise then they will expire. Mohammed, now you're working as a principal for an international school. Now in that case, what depends whether you're involved in project management or not is what are your what is the role that you are, or what are the different tasks that you are doing. So probably I can say that, let's say if you authorized a project, or if you were involved in a project to start up a new type of facility within the school, then yes, you are involved in project. Or if you are let's say you got together with some of your teachers, some of the um, um, other stakeholders, and you started, let's say, an auditorium service, or you started online teaching, or definitely you are involved in the project management. Kiran, I think Sanjeev would be a better person to answer your this question. Sanjeev, can you please check Kiran's question, that are we offering anything in offline, means classroom trainings in Hyderabad or in any other part of India? So I guess it's only the online trainings that we are looking forward to at this point of time. But yes, Cognitel themselves, they provide offline training. So if that's the case, you can contact them. Mohammed, sorry, can I finish the PMP in less than 3 years? Certainly you can do that, but for that you need to have 3 years of experience, which um, which after that 3 years of experience, within next 3 years, you can definitely finish the PMP certification. So as you can see on the eligibility criteria slide, it says at least 5 years of project management experience with 7,500 hours of leading and directing, or at least 3 years of project management experience with 4,500 hours of leading and directing. So this is a prerequisite. So this has to be fulfilled before you write the exam. Whichever the case is, over 3 years or over 5 years, it has to be fulfilled. And then after you take your 35 hours of project management education, you can write the exam. So guys, if you have any questions that come to your mind, probably let's say after we have finished off the webinar, then Sanjeev will be providing you with a link which you can use to post your queries even after the webinars, and we'll try to get them answered as soon as possible. So thanks everyone for attending the session. I hope you liked it, and if you wish to get trained in project management field, you can definitely contact WizIQ for the for their next online session, and they should be able to help you further on that. Right guys, thank you so much. Thank you. So you can see I'm just going to paste that email address on my whiteboard, so you can post in any of your queries that you have on this email ID, and it should get answered as soon as possible. Great guys, thank you so much for bearing with me, and wish you a happy weekend.